Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Nick Muhammad ARSYAD bin Abdul GHANI. My metric number is 065477. Today I am going to talk about the impacts of COVID-19 to the economy of society. As we already know, to slow the spread of the virus, schools closed across the world. 1 year into the pandemic, almost half of the world's students were affected by school closures. Millions of girls in some countries might not be going back at all, putting them at risk of adolescent pregnancy, child marriage, and violence. Businesses closed too, leading to the equivalent of 255 million full-time jobs lost in terms of working hours in 2020. Among the worst hit are workers in the informal economy, young people, and women. Any economic recovery will likely be uneven, leading to greater inequality in the coming years. Women have been harder hit economically by the pandemic because they are a large proportion of the workers in sectors severely affected by COVID-19, including accommodation and food services and in frontline occupations such as the health and social care sectors. With the closures of schools, they have also had to take on more care responsibilities at home. Whether through job losses or school closures, the pandemic threatens to undo decades of progress on gender equality. COVID-19 has been slowing down progress on clean energy too, at least temporarily, by curbing investments and delaying the expansion of clean energy technologies. There has been some positive climate news. Global energy-related CO2 emissions fell by 5.8% in 2020, the largest ever decline in global CO2 emissions in history. But that's only a short-term effect of lockdowns, not a sustained change. In fact, emissions are expected to rise by 4.8% in 2021, the second highest rate in history, as the demand for coal, oil, and gas rebounds with the economy. Since March 2020, governments have spent a staggering $16 trillion providing fiscal support, and deficits are the highest they've been since World War II. The effects are felt unevenly across societies. The Welcome Global Monitor 2020 COVID-19 report, the largest study of its kind, found that the pandemic has had a disproportionate impact on low-income countries and people with low incomes across all countries. Almost half, 45%, of workers in low and lower middle-income countries lost a job or business due to the pandemic, compared to just 10% of people in high-income countries. While no economy is left untouched, lower and middle-income countries are worse affected because they have weak defenses against economic shocks and tend to depend more on a few sectors, such as commodities and tourism. Millions of people have already fallen below the poverty line. In just a few months of COVID-19, extreme poverty went up for the first time in 20 years. Wealthy countries have had the means to intervene early to protect people and businesses by pumping $9.8 trillion into their economies, the biggest chunk of the total of $11.7 trillion spent globally in 2020 to cope with the fallout from the pandemic. But low and middle-income countries have not been able to do the same. A report by Oxfam reviewed the government measures to support people through the pandemic in 126 low and middle-income countries, including numerous kinds of benefits for those affected, and found that 97% of the support provided was inadequate to meet basic needs. Without tangible solutions to stop the virus from spreading and treat those who fall ill, the pandemic will continue to steal lives and livelihoods. The greatest investment we could make now is in the research, development, and fair distribution of tests, vaccines, and treatments.